So, something that I've been looking at now recently and that I want to talk about is what are teams gonna be doing for the next season? Like who are gonna be the best teams? How are the standings gonna look like? And what are we gonna be seeing in the NBA by next season, right? The first thing I want to talk about is play and how is next season going to be played. I know that there's going to be an in-season tournament, which is going to be insane in my opinion. I don't really have the details, but apparently there are going to be groups which are already divided, and they're going to face off against each other. And it will kind of be a bracket system, right, throughout the season. And whoever gets to the championship of the bracket will get one game added to their season, and the rest of the teams who didn't make it to the championship will, they will fill out their 82 games. In my opinion, first that just right there creates a conflict of interest. Like, there's no way that there's two teams which should be playing an extra game a season just because of a tournament. In my opinion, they should structure it so that the last game of the season is the last game of the tournament, right? And that's the championship game. Meanwhile, other games are happening. But I don't know. I don't like this idea of an in-season tournament. I think it's an idea which is good, but the thing is the regular season is what it is, and people like watching the regular season. I don't think that the in-season tournament is going to create anything, and I think it's going to take away a lot of the seriousness of the NBA. The NBA is looked at as the most prestigious franchise in basketball, and they're looked at as the example. And in my opinion, it is their job to innovate, right? Like, the NBA has always been the league which always puts their foot up first, and if they mess up, then it's easy for them to get back because they have so many fans, right? Like, a league in Europe can't just do this type of stuff that the NBA is doing without losing either a lot of fans or losing respect from their players. Or imagine Overtime Elite held an in-season tournament which wasn't their playoffs, right? I mean, if they do, then I'm sorry, but there's certain things which you just can't do. And in my opinion, I like that teams are going to get to play. And the reason why I like this the most is because it's going to give good run and some type of importance to non-playoff teams. And that's the only thing I like about this tournament, is that it's gonna, help teams which haven't really been good for a while at least get some type of competitiveness. But apart from that, I don't really believe that this is a good thing. And when we talk about next season and when we talk about what does it hold, I believe that what we can look at is who are the top 15 players coming into next season. I am going to rank them, and I'm going to say, right, one reason for everybody why they are the position they are, right? At first place, we have Nikola Jokic. I do believe that we need to give respect to the champions, right? And I believe that Nikola Jokic is one of the players that has just become synonymous with greatness, right? And in my opinion, he's just become that guy, right? Like, he has officially become the guy for the NBA. And I understand that it's hard for people to say that for various reasons. Maybe because he's white, maybe because he's fat and his game is not exciting. Maybe because he just wins championships and he doesn't care about winning, and all he wants to do is horse race, and he looks at the NBA as a job. But the guy has been the most dominant player. He can shoot the ball. He's the best post-up player in the NBA. Him and Joel Embiid. He's a phenomenal rebounder. He's probably the best playmaker that we have in the NBA right now, apart from maybe James Harden and Tyrese Halliburton, right? And LeBron James. and he's just really become the best player. And he just won the championship, which, in my opinion, made him the best player in the world. The only weakness in his game is defense, but he just won a championship with the defense that he has. So, you know, second, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo. I feel like this is obvious. You know, Giannis is phenomenal, and he was number one before the season, but he's so distant from his championship, and he's so distant from going deep in the playoffs. Like, in my opinion, it's a really bad look for his career. The fact that he's lost already now two times in the playoffs against teams which were much worse than his. But I digress. You know, Boston should have not beat them last year because, a lot of people are going to say, oh, so Chris Middleton was injured. Yeah, but Giannis was still getting locked up. The third player, which I have as the best player in the NBA, is Curry. You know, I know that a lot of people don't want to talk about him like that, but in my opinion, he won a championship a year ago, and it's not even about the championship. It's more that if you looked at what he was doing in the playoffs, he was the best player in the playoffs before he got eliminated. What he did in that Sacramento series and what he did in that Lakers series, he was phenomenal. The only thing is that since his team was so bad, right, in terms of that they were choking like Jordan Poole, or they were, being a step slow, and there were not enough vets and stuff like that, it costed them the series. But Steph Curry dropped 50 in a game 7, right? And in my opinion, or I forgot, he dropped buckets in a game 7 against Sacramento, and for the playoffs he averaged 30 points, right, on 46% from the field and 36% from three. And that was with the whole world guarding him, and 6 assists. So in my opinion, that's Curry. I think he's still the third best player. The fourth, I'm taking Jason Tatum, right? I don't care what you say, but Jason Tatum has been recently a guy who's consistently made his team be in deep playoff runs, and that's really why I put him so high, right? Then I want to take, Kevin Durant at 5. It's obvious that I care more about playoffs than I do about regular season. And in my opinion, Kevin Durant's dominance has just been insane. And the fact that he's been able to continue his dominance in terms of scoring has been phenomenal, right? At 6, I have Joel Embiid. The only reason why I have him lower than Kevin Durant is because Kevin Durant was, putting up phenomenal games in the playoffs and has actually been in the regular season a guy who, even if you can't count on him, when he comes back, he's going to be consistent. With Joel Embiid, he was just, that he's chasing trophies. And when it gets to the playoffs and there are no more individual trophies anymore, he calms down. And I personally don't think that you could get, the respect, right, with that mentality, right? Guy, I'm gonna do top 10 because of time, but at 7, I like LeBron James. I think that he's phenomenal, and what he did in the playoffs this year showed me that he is really good, and that he has not lost that playoff mindset. The only thing is that his fatigue is a real thing. And in my opinion, you just kind of have to deal with that, right? But yeah, then at 8, right? I mean, it's LeBron, so of course. But at 8, I have Luka Doncic. I like Luka and I love what he did this season, but I believe that a guy who didn't even make the playoffs when he was trying for most of the season is insane, and that bumps him down many spots. And then finally, to round out the top 10, I want to put 2 guys right? I want to put John Morant, right? And I put him here because even if he has had some struggles recently with all these issues, he is phenomenal. He is a phenomenal player. And in my opinion, he's still been the best player on the Grizzlies and has been incredibly consistent, right? And at 10, I have a tie between Jimmy Butler and Damian Lillard. The reason why I have Dame is because he had the regular season of ages. He had 71 points, he had whatever, and he was just phenomenal. And Jimmy is because he had the playoff of the ages. I personally would take Jimmy, but I do believe that we have to give Dame his respect. And in my opinion, they're both tied right there, right? Because both of them did something incredible, and you cannot overlook Jimmy's playoff run to the finals with an eighth seed. This is the first time in history that that's happened in the play-in era, and you cannot overlook Dame's regular season, maybe his best season ever, and just having that this year. And those are in my opinion, the top 10 players going into next season, right? In their order.